Depending on the poll, more than half of Americans believe 9/11, the official story, to be a fraud. The lowest polls that are scientific are 36%. Some scientific polls, like the Angus and Reid New York Times poll of 2006, show 84% question the official story and believe they're being lied to. You're not a terrorist if you question. 9/11 Truth had never been engaged in any violence. In the last 2 years, I've seen mainstream media talking points that 9/11 Truth is going to attack the government. That has now happened last Thursday. And Fox News had me on Saturday night, Geraldo Rivera, to officially come out and say, this has destroyed your movement. No, physics and reality and science hasn't done that. We expose your false flag terror, and you're not going to be able to stop the truth from coming out, no matter how much terrorism you stage. And we're going to have Webster Tarpley on today in the last 20 minutes to break down the history as a historian of confirmed patsies. We've got him, correct? I just saw you thumbs up. Correct, Jaron? Yeah, he's confirmed. Great. Okay, so that is coming up. Here's an article. 12 New England towns demand 911 investigation. Reinvestigation. A new movement to reinstate the 9/11 attacks. A new movement to reinvestigate the 9/11 attacks is gaining pace in the U.S. with major public support. 12 towns are set to decide whether to ask the federal government for a new independent probe. Because in New Hampshire, they can have the cities basically order the legislature what to do. New York is dubbed as the Empire State for its wealth and resources and is rightfully regarded as America's most famous city, a beacon of fashion, finance, and fast-paced action. New Hampshire is the Granite State for so-called self-sufficiency, less flash, and cash, more famous for hosting the first U.S. presidential primary. And it continues there talking about all the cities that are moving for a new investigation. This is why the system is so concerned and trying to demonize 9/11 Truth. It's asinine. 9/11 Truth exposing government-sponsored terrorism, and then the government tries to say we are terrorists. It's not going to work. But they're also demonizing the Tea Parties, the Fedders, the birthers, everybody else. We're being told we're terrorists, we're going to commit terror attacks by the Southern Poverty Law Center and others that are spokesmen for the government. And just like Hitler would stage terror attacks to demonize his political enemies, the same thing is being set up. And I've been predicting it intensely in the last really year, but the last 3 months intensely, warning every day, and now you're seeing clear false flags. So Webster coming on the last 20 minutes to walk through all of this with us. And we have a bunch of guests joining us tomorrow, and believe me, you're not going to want to miss that information. Now, yesterday I started getting calls saying Adam Gadahn, the grandson of the ADL founding board member, a guy who was arrested for beating up Arabs outside their mosque in California, a guy who was so hateful of Arabs and Islam he couldn't control himself. He then went and grew a big beard, and he sits there in English saying he's a top al-Qaeda commander, and then Wired Magazine reported that videos of him and others that have been uploaded by different government front groups put the al-Qaeda lower third and logo up in the same video layer as the Intel Center and other groups that upload these. There have been fake bin Laden videos, fake al-Qaeda videos, all confirmed. They announced they'd arrested him. Everybody was like, oh, Adam Gadahn must be real. And I said, folks, watch. They'll say they didn't arrest him or they arrested him as an intelligence operative and they're protecting him. I've seen other arrests of high-level al-Qaeda, and you'll hear a year later, 2 years later in some cases, oh, they were really U.S. government agents. This will be in the news, but buried in a footnote. And they quietly released them under a new name and a witness protection program. Okay? That goes on. When they executed Tim McVeigh, 2 different mainline news reporters reported he was breathing in Terre Haute, Indiana, when he left. And it came out in federal documents that the Southern Poverty Law Center was running the Elohim City white supremacist compound that McVeigh was at. And it was sworn in federal documents by Terry Nichols and others. And then later the lawyers involved actually got the FBI declassified, but the FBI blacked out part of it. Then they got another FOIA request through federal court where they blacked out other areas. They could put the two together and have the full report. Full federal operation. You had a bunch of states, what was it, 14 at the time, moving to declare 10th Amendment sovereignty against the feds, the UN takeover of Bill Clinton, the sellout to the Chinese. A move to get us out of the United Nations, and boom, they blew that building up. It came out on CBS News that the ATF had been told not to be in the building that day, that the FBI was in the town running an operation, and it came out that McVeigh was hired in Black Ops to infiltrate militia and terror groups. That is confirmed. And it's confirmed in the New York Times and CBS News again that the FBI cooked the bomb, trained the drivers, totally set up these two mentally retarded dupes in 1993 for the World Trade Center attack. The Ahmad Salam intelligence agent from Egypt thought they were setting him up, recorded the FBI telling him, you let that bombing go ahead. And that's the only reason he got away without being arrested. And he was given $1,300,000 payoff to keep quiet after that happened. They declassified in the last year those audio tapes from that trial. Burmese has clips of it in the upcoming film Invisible Empire, by the way. I mean, this is some damning information. We have Operation Northwoods, the U.S. government staged terror attack documents. It was declassified 3 weeks ago at the State Department.gov that Bobby Kennedy wanted to blow up U.S. embassies in Latin America to invade Honduras and other countries, and his brother said no. I mean, this is just standard operating procedure. And for the media to say these crazy nut lunatics think we should look at the government at least allowing this to happen when you have the hijackers trained at U.S. military bases. I mean, these are facts that cannot be ignored any longer. Now, I want to get into the most important story of the day. I want to play a video clip coming up when we come out of the next segment. The federal government under Tom Ridge in 2003 admitted that the airport security you see will be nationwide. They're now putting on Homeland Security videos showing mobile trucks where they're going to body scan you, brain scan you. The machine supposedly tells if you're lying to get into football games, at highway checkpoints. No judge, no jury, no nothing. And, of course, the machine's a quack fraud, just like lie detectors were proven to be a fraud in millions of people that were sent to prison, hundreds of thousands who were innocent. It's just made up. Oh, but the machine says you're lying. We're going to show you some Homeland Security video of that coming up. But the bigger issue here for everyone to understand and for everyone to be clear about is that Section 802 of the USA Patriot Act states that all misdemeanors are acts of terrorism. And last week we read articles where it's being used against homeless, gun shops, people that supposedly don't pay their income taxes, no due process. They're being arrested under the Patriot Act. John Warner Defense Authorization Act of 2007 states the feds are here and Northcom are here to take over the states. The MIAC Homeland Security documents of last year, internal documents law enforcement gave us, mainstream media confirmed they were real, says gun owners, veterans, returning gun owner veterans, libertarians, Ron Paul supporters, in the fetters, tax protesters are what Homeland Security is really for. It's not for the radical Arabs that the CIA runs 9 times out of 10. And now they admit with this Adam Gadahn that he wasn't arrested. It was all fake, as usual. Again. They tell you they arrest him, then they tell you hours later they didn't in a bottom footnote. That's how stupid they think you are to lend credibility to this Adam Gadahn guy. And when he's making videos again in a month, the media won't retract that he was never arrested. This is PSYOP mind control.